really, they're getting tired over here. Day and night they working. Look at those garbages. I mean, I'm thank everyone for the donation, but this is not the way you donate.
Hello, hi, good day. Today, I'm actually quite disappointed because the video that you just saw, people bullied that woman to the point where she deleted her TikToks. If you haven't already seen that video, there is a Turkish woman who is volunteering for the earthquake in Turkey, and one of her jobs is to sort clothes. And she was actually quite rude in the way that she phrased her message. She called the donations trash and she said that it was a waste of her time. She did then apologise for the way that she said what she said, but she emphasised how important her message was. But obviously, this is the internet and people just want to be mean, so she was bullied off the internet anyway. Her actual message was really important because she was explaining about the correct way to donate while advocating for those in need. And people were ignoring this vital message about the best way to donate because they were in their feelings about the way in which she delivered the message. Keep in mind, this is not a petty little argument between friends. This is a serious emergency disaster situation, and now people are using this as an excuse to stop supporting those who were affected by the earthquake. Well, what did she say that was so bad? She called the donations trash. And why would she do that? Because they will literally come from the bottom of some people's basements. They will be going into the donation basket and then straight into the bin. They're never going to be worn by people because they're not fit to wear. You should never donate something that you wouldn't wear yourself because of the quality of that item. Do you realise how dehumanising that is? She said in a follow-up video that people have literally been donating things like blankets that had pee on them. And it's just so heartbreaking that some people were like, well, why don't you just wash it? With what, her daughter said, you don't think about people's situations, but regardless of whether they're able to wash it or not, why are you donating a blanket with urine? People also made the argument that, well, that might be all that somebody can afford to donate, so she should be grateful. I've already said this, and I will not stop saying this, so prepare to be sick of me. But you should not donate something that you would not wear yourself because the quality of that item is that bad. An old jumper or an old sweater is absolutely fine, but when something is ripped, it has stains, it's got holes, it's got skid marks, you should not be donating it, especially if you wouldn't wear it. Secondly, it's important to realise that not everybody is in a position to donate. Some people are really struggling financially. Times are hard, it's difficult, I know, I get it. And that's actually okay. Not that people are poor, but the fact that not everyone can donate. And nobody's asking you to donate the highest quality of item, but it needs to be fit to wear. Also, at times it's actually better to send nothing at all than it is to send something that isn't fit for somebody to wear, and I'll explain why a little bit later on in the video in a bit more detail. At one point, she picks out a fancy dress for a little girl and she says, "Who's going to wear this?" And there was so much entitlement surrounding this part. People were commenting that a little girl could love a pretty dress and a wedding dress that they sent in could be somebody's forever wedding dress. It has nothing to do with the dress being pretty. The issue is that it's impractical. They're asking for warm, clean clothes, things like jackets and other useful items. I don't for a second believe that people donated things like sandals and lingerie out of spite, but I think it comes from a place of ignorance. I think a lot of people prior to the video were unaware of the climate or the actual disaster sometimes, which is why I think they were donating inappropriate items, hence the need for this video. I think it got hundreds and thousands, if not millions of views. I'm not sure because the video has been taken down, but that would have been an amazing opportunity to be able to educate people and make a difference for those who needed it. When you're donating, you're not donating for yourself. It's not about you having the feeling that you've made a little girl's dreams come true. What would have made a world of a difference is that young girl having warm, clean clothes and a blanket to sleep in so her family can focus on what they need to do. Don't you think that the parent's priority first is the child's well-being and safety? She even showed people what a good donation box would look like. She showed a box of new cheap jumpers with the tags on, and she said this is a good example of what you should be donating. She also showed a box with diapers and baby wipes. Instead of acknowledging that, people were upset that she was suggesting that it would be a good idea to donate new clean clothes, highlighting that not everyone who donates can afford to donate new clothes and labeling her as selfish and entitled. If the thought of donating an item of clothing brand new is crazy to you, I really wonder what you think of the people who are actually receiving the clothes. And this is why, for me, it's not just an issue of the tone of the woman, but people's mindsets to find that offensive. Donations do not have to be second-hand. It's not a requirement. And of course, not everybody can afford to donate new clothes, and that's okay, which is why most donations tend to be second-hand. She herself said that the clothes don't need to be new, but people were really outraged at the thought of people in need getting new clothes. Not only was she giving really good advice, but she was highlighting one of the more important points is the fact that donating incorrectly can actually be harmful. These volunteers are helping out following the earthquake, which has led to this critical disaster situation. Every moment counts and there is so much work that needs to be done, and you are taking away from these volunteers by adding unnecessary tasks to the workload. At the beginning of the video, you could see the sheer mass of clothes that they're having to sort through. If people donated correctly, then they would have to spend less time shifting through unnecessary clothes and they could offer support in other areas, or it would lighten the burden of their tasks. If you knew the right thing to donate, that could have been 1 or 2 warm nights for a sick older woman, and that could have made a really big difference. She made another point on another video that is deleted, so I'm not sure about the specifics of this point, but she talked about basically how logistically they have to send out certain packages and shipments and they're coming in at certain times, and with the unnecessary clothes it makes it a logistical nightmare. It could be more expensive to have to send all of these things, and again, I don't know the specific logistics, but a lot of the times charity will do the work of shipping these clothes out, and doing this means that these charities are having to spend a lot more time and money, especially paying for these unnecessary loads when they could be spending that money directly on those that need it. Also, this could have a negative impact on the environment if you're shipping 30 trucks of unuseful items, whereas shipping 5 trucks of good, helpful loads. Okay, so this is probably the most controversial thing I will say this whole video, but I also feel that those donating don't actually see those in need as people on their level because they're poor and in an emergency situation. And I want to demonstrate this to you, so allow me to present a hypothetical situation. If your neighbour, who you don't know very well, lost their house in a fire and needed a couple of items to wear, would you dig out clothes with holes, skid marks and stains for them to wear? Would you offer a pea-stained blanket? Or maybe you would offer a single shoe with no laces covered in mud inside and out? No? Why not? Because it's degrading to somebody who is already in a difficult situation. What about if you had a friend in the Sahara Desert and they got robbed and they needed a couple items of clothing again? Would you give them a massive jacket knowing that you have a cool t-shirt in your bag? No? Why? Because they're never going to wear it, not even once. It's not practical. I'm sure it was easy to think about these scenarios when you actually care and respect about the person. You are understanding and you are empathetic. Yet, when the situation is about poor people in a critical situation, they're somehow ungrateful for seeking dignity. People were calling the woman in the video entitled, but I actually see it the other way around. And I don't know, there's probably a word for it, but I think people think so low of people that they're donating to that they expect them to kiss their feet for the scraps that they're providing. I'm not a huge reader, but I would highly recommend this book called Dead Aid by Dan Bisamoyo. It covers the topic so beautifully and so much more articulately than I could ever hope to do so. All of this being said, I do feel that some responsibility lies with the woman and the fact that her delivery of the message was poor. She explained that English wasn't her first language, so the way that she came across could have been abrasive. I don't think that excuses her manner because she and even her daughter apologized for the tone, obviously acknowledging that it did more harm than good. I really respect her for taking accountability for her delivery and apologizing, but what I respect even more is the fact that she did not back down on the message, because she could have said that she was sorry and she took everything back and she didn't mean it, but she didn't do that because she knows how important the message itself is. She isn't a robot or a social media trained influencer. You could hear the passion and the frustration in her voice, which is, I think, a part of what rubbed people up the wrong way. She's not an organization built to pry donations and make you feel good about yourself. She's not exchanging self-esteem for your donations. Fuel your savior complex elsewhere. And sure, there are people who are more educated on that specific topic who would have been able to deliver the message in a much better way. Again, I'm going to plug Dan Bisamoyo, the book Dead Aid. It's really good. But that information has existed for the longest time and people haven't cared about this topic until now because they're offended. And she is uniquely placed as a volunteer in a situation where she can help talk about the issues that she is facing because she is the one who is facing those issues. And reading through the comments, scouring for any positive comments because I feel like I really needed it, what I actually found was that people who had volunteered for other organizations in the past actually agreed with her and had the same exact experiences that she did. Despite her presentation being bad, in my opinion, I do also feel that there needs to be a certain level of responsibility that people need to be able to take when it comes to separating the message from the messenger in such an important situation as well. If you're about to fall off a cliff, I will always shout at you if that is what I need to do. What would your takeaway be from that? Okay. I'm so glad I've got that out of my system. I would love to end the video on something a little bit more positive by highlighting items that you can be donating. So from the video, what I got, she talked about things like nappies, baby wipes, period products, clean, warm clothes, monetary donations, which I will add, I understand some people have an issue with that, but there are so many different ways that you can donate and contribute. Also, if there are any other things that you know of that would be good to donate, please share below in the comments below. Also, if you know any good charities or people or places that people can donate money to as well, or GoFundMes, things like that, also please comment them down below. Everybody, regardless of their background, deserves dignity and respect.